Will here from HairGuard. In this video, I want to discuss the absolute worst foods for hair growth. These are the top foods that will harm the thickness, strength, and shine of your hair, and even make your hair fall out in some cases. So although I wouldn't say exactly these directly cause hair loss, we do know from identical twin studies that these foods can accelerate hair loss. We also know that diet affects the skin, and scalp health certainly affects your hair health. Removing these foods from your diet will also improve your overall health and appearance anyway, which is kind of what we're all after. So if you want the thickest, healthiest hair possible and an improved appearance and better health in general, then you'd be very wise to avoid the following foods and food groups. Quickly before we get started, we have our anti-hair loss essential supplement and hair biotic available at hairguard.com. So if you want to make sure you give your body everything it needs to grow thick, healthy hair, I'd recommend those two products to get started. Okay, so the worst foods for hair loss. And these aren't in any particular order, by the way, but let's get started. Number 1, food preservatives. Food preservatives can damage the microbiome, which is the collection of bacteria in our body. Almost all processed foods contains preservatives of one kind or another, which of course helps preserve the processed food. The preservatives are great for food manufacturers because it means their products can be stored for longer, transported more easily, and just generally they last longer before they go off. This basically puts less pressure on supply chain logistics and stock issues, basically resulting in more profit for that company. And the least profit in general is just made on fresh produce, so just keep that in mind when you're at the supermarket. So although preservatives are great for food companies, they're generally bad for us humans. There are good ways to preserve foods, of course, like things like pickling, but modern food preservatives are there to kill bacteria. And unfortunately, there's lots of good bacteria in our gut that those preservatives will also kill. Our microbiome, which I said is the collection of bacteria in our body, does play a role in hair health. And when your good and bad bacteria get out of balance, it can cause a ton of problems, particularly scalp issues, scalp infections, and inflammation. So all of those can actually lead to hair loss. That's why it's generally best to avoid processed foods that contain lots of preservatives. It's really helpful to read the labels on the foods you buy to see whether they contain those harmful preservatives, and generally avoid those foods, where possible. Okay, so secondly, industrial seed oils in processed foods and used for cooking. So cheap oils are hidden in almost all processed foods. It's crazy, and they're terrible for our health and also for our hair health. Examples of these to avoid are canola oil, rapeseed oil, soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower seed oil, cottonseed oil, and safflower seed oil. They're all too high omega-6 and linoleic acid. So the average person in the US has a 15-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3, when it really should be a 1-to-1 ratio. Because a lot of these oils are hidden in our foods, this ratio just gets out of balance, and it gets really off balance actually, and it causes a lot of problems in the body. Take almost any processed food or condiment off the shelf in a supermarket, and you're quite likely to find a cheap processed oil in it. Just take a look at a bottle of tomato ketchup and you'll find a number of hidden seed oils inside it. Avoid eating these oils at all costs, and definitely avoid cooking with them. It's funny because I see a lot of people go for the healthy salad option, but they actually turn it unhealthy real quick with a salad dressing that contains one of those seed oils. Better quality oils include olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, and animal-based cooking fats such as butter, tallow, and ghee. Okay, so thirdly, high mercury fish. Mercury is a toxic, heavy metal that can accumulate in the body over time and cause damage to various organs, including the hair follicles. Additionally, mercury exposure can contribute to inflammation in the body, which can also impact hair health and contribute to hair loss. Consuming high mercury fish may cause this toxic metal to accumulate in the body over time. High levels of mercury in the body can interfere with normal functioning of the hair follicles and lead to thinning and hair loss. Some types of fish are known to be high in mercury, including sharks, swordfish, king mackerel, tuna, and tilefish. Obviously, you're probably not going to be eating sharks, so that's all right. It's recommended that pregnant women, nursing mothers, and young children avoid these types of fish altogether, as mercury can also negatively impact fetal and child development. If you are concerned about the impact of mercury on your hair health, it's best to avoid or limit your consumption of high mercury fish and opt for lower mercury options instead. So examples of low mercury fish include salmon, sardines, and trout. So they're generally smaller fish, right? It's important to note that fish can be a good source of omega-3 fatty acids, which are important for overall health, including hair health. And like we said before, most people have way too much omega-6 and not enough omega-3. So if you're looking to include fish in your diet, it's best to choose varieties that are low in mercury and high in omega-3 fatty acids to get the most benefits for your hair and overall health. Okay, so on to the next point, processed sugars. Consuming high amounts of processed sugars may negatively impact your hair health, as sugar can contribute to inflammation and oxidative stress in the body. So both of these, which can damage hair follicles and contribute to hair loss. When we consume large amounts of processed sugars, our blood sugar levels spike, leading to a surge in insulin production. This can contribute to inflammation in the body and cause damage to the hair follicles, which then results in hair thinning and hair loss over time. Additionally, consuming too much sugar can contribute to nutrient deficiencies, as sugar doesn't really provide any significant nutritional value. Right? Nutrient deficiencies, such as deficiencies in vitamins and minerals like biotin and zinc, can also contribute to hair loss and other hair-related disorders. Sugary drinks and foods, they almost always contain other substances like preservatives, which we already talked about, that are bad for your hair health. Too much sugar can feed that bad bacterial overgrowth that could contribute to scalp issues. So in general, it's best to avoid processed sugars where possible. You'll want to eat and drink nutrient-dense foods that give your hair everything it needs to grow thick and healthy, rather than filling up on empty calories that have zero useful nutrients and minerals for your hair. However, I know you might have a sweet tooth, so in that case, try fresh fruits or berries. And you can also try the hair growth smoothie, consisting of coconut milk, frozen mixed berries, half a banana, some hemp protein, and added probiotics. Now, the next point isn't a food per se, but it is the main thing that goes inside your body, which of course is the water you drink. I think this is actually really important, which is why I've decided to include it in this list. Tap water that's full of chemicals. If you're drinking unfiltered tap water, then you're doing yourself a disservice. Unfiltered water contains a load of gunk that you really don't want in your life. And if you don't filter the water, you are the filter. That's an expression I quite like. One way you can test the quality of your tap water and the scary things that are inside it is using a distiller. So what you'll do is literally evaporate all the water and condense it, leaving pure distilled water, which is amazing for drinking. But what's left in the evaporating chamber is all the impurities left over from the process. So if you try this yourself, you'll realize how much and just how disgusting the impurities that are left behind really are, and you'll see them in the bottom of the evaporating chamber. All those impurities would be going into your body, and probably some of it would be staying in your body. It's far better to drink high quality tap water and just avoid those impurities altogether. So starting from the worst to the best, here's a quick rundown of water quality. Starting with tap water, then plastic bottled water, then Brita filtered tap water, and then getting to the good stuff, you've got glass bottled mineral water, reverse osmosis water, and then finally at the top of the list, distilled water, which I talked about previously. And in my opinion, the distilled water is the absolute pinnacle of what you want to be drinking. It's basically 100% pure water. Obviously, the better quality waters, they're more expensive in general. You can't just fill up your cup from the tap, but I think they're totally worth it over the long term. These high quality waters, they just taste better, so you'll end up drinking more of it because your body enjoys it more, which means you'll be more hydrated in the long term. The reduced exposure to fluoride, heavy metals, and calcium carbonate will benefit your overall health and your hair health too. Okay, so final point, alcohol. Some people out there drink alcohol like it's a food. So we included it here because it's one thing that's definitely not good for your hair. Alcohol is very dehydrating, so it's gonna dry out your skin and your hair and damage the liver at the same time. Brittle hair tends to break more easily, and dryness can also lead to dandruff and scalp issues that go on to affect your hair. If you do want to quit alcohol, then a quick shout out to our former presenter at HairGuard, Leon, who now helps people quit alcohol over at SoberClear. The great thing about improving your diet is you'll improve your overall health and your hair health at the same time. There's some extra motivation to get rid of those foods and those bad food groups and replace them with foods that improve your hair health instead. So over on hairguard.com, we've got our amazing hair biotic and our anti-hair loss essential supplement that will help ensure you're getting all the nutrients and minerals and probiotics that your hair needs to grow thick and healthy. If this video has been helpful, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment on what topic you want to see next. And also, if you've got a question for me, leave it in the comment section below. I'll try to reply to all those questions individually. Okay, thanks for watching and see you in the next video.